Hi everyone, Kristen Ashly from Bell to Bells here, and this is Painless, a 30-minute hassle-free podcast featuring short discussions on wrestling. Each podcast, I'll have one guest on to talk about one topic. This is the very first episode of Painless, and who to be the perfect guinea pig for the first episode than Warren Hayes of the Mr. Warren Hayes Show. Warren, how are you today?
I'm doing fine, Kristen. Thank you for having me. Thank you for allowing me to be the initial guinea pig of the new show. I appreciate
it. That's great, and thank you for agreeing to be my guinea pig today. To kick things off, we're going to do a two-part special on the AEW Women's World Championship Eliminator Tournament. It's a lot of words. Today, part one, will cover the U.S. side of the bracket. And then next time, we'll be doing a deep dive into the Japanese side of the bracket. So let's just start off with the news that came out today. The bracket will be starting on Wednesday on AEW Dynamite with Layla Hirsch versus Thunder Rosa. Warren, what are your initial thoughts on this first match?
I am stoked that they are putting the tournament on Dynamite. Kristen, this was probably my biggest worry that they decide to relegate it to even putting it on dark wouldn't have been that bad. It's just we still have very fresh memories of the AEW women's tag team tournament that they did a few months ago, and they created a whole different YouTube show for that. And there was the women get their own show, and I was like, no, I get it, but also I don't get it, because if you want people, I mean, this is always something we say, you and I, there's, if anyone listens or reads whatever we talk about in regards to wrestling and how promotions treat their women, if you want your women's division to be treated as something important to the fans, well, the promotion has to treat it as such. So putting the tournament on Dynamite is it's the basic move, and it's weird that we're like, congratulations, and patting them on the back. Like it's so normal,
Well, yeah, and I mean, Dynamite primarily has had one, maybe, sometimes not at all, one women's match.
Right.
While then you shove 6 women's matches on Dark. And, and like I've already said a million times, like we both said, it becomes super predictable with the Dark matches, because it's like you have, Britt Baker versus someone most people have not heard of yet. Okay, who do you think is going to win?
Sure.
And there was I actually did some stats, and it was like over two thirds of the matches that were on Dark were won by roster members. So not only do you have all that nonsense, but then with the tag team tournaments, which, I mean, they just got a cup, frankly. Then you have, it's all on YouTube. And their thing was, more people watch YouTube. No. I mean, maybe, but you're not expanding your audience. And that was the whole argument, was that, if you're going to just aim towards the same people who already know them, right? Like, I'm coming to YouTube to see these matches because I know them. Mm-hmm. Those are the people going to YouTube. If you want to expand your audience and get people into women's wrestling, that's when you go to your network television. And they weren't doing that. So I am thrilled. I'm not surprised that they're starting off with Thunder Rosa and Layla Hirsch. Thunder Rosa has been on TV plenty, though she's not technically an AEW roster member. Neither one of them are, right?
Right.
So that's an interesting tidbit there, is that they're starting this off with 2 non-AEW women's rosters. What do you think about that?
Well, I think it's safe. It's safe to assume that that Layla and Thunder Rosa are, maybe they just haven't been announced. Like, because we know by talking with folks, we know that AEW doesn't announce every contract signing it makes. Right. Not everyone gets the graphic. You know, some people are signed and you just don't know. So I think I think the fact that they're putting Layla and Thunder Rosa front and center, I think that's a fair indication that they have a contract. And to me, like you said, it makes tons of sense to put Thunder Rosa there because she has been nothing but gold for the division and for the promotion in general, but especially for the women's division. Her match with Britt Baker last Wednesday was phenomenal. It was really, really good. Like everything Thunder Rosa does is just great. So if you want to kick off your tournament strong, if you want to get people interested, you're going to give them a good match out the gate. I think she and Layla will probably work really, really well. You know, Layla, of course, has a little less experience than Thunder Rosa does, but Rosa is going to take care of her. They're going to work great together. And I don't think that you could start with a stronger combination. Well, maybe outside of Serena Deeb versus Rio, come to think of it, which is but look, this is a really strong match to start your tournament. There's no two ways to cut it.
And I'm really interested to see how their fighting styles really work together, because Layla is known to be a grappler, right? And Thunder Rosa, I mean, she's probably closer to a grappler than, like, I'd say a flyer. Mm-hmm. But she's always been way more fast-paced in the ring than you would consider Layla. So I'm interested to see how the two work. If I had to make a prediction, I would guess that Thunder Rosa would move ahead, but I'm not sure, because they have really pushed Layla recently. They have put her in a lot of matches.
Sure.
And I think Layla is somebody that I could imagine AEW really liking.
Yeah.
You know, she's got a style to her. She's very sports oriented. It's not highly gimmicked. And she's very good. She's skilled at what she does. And
she's short. I don't know if you heard. She's short.
She's short.
You know, Jim Ross.
I know that, right?
Well, I mean,
I know she's short, right?
No, but Jim Ross tells us a lot that she's short. That's
thank goodness for Jim Ross to tell us all about the physical characteristics of the women's roster, right? You know, I can just see, you know, and Layla Hirsch is she's very highly skilled, and so I could see them really placing some bank on her. So I'm interested. This one for me doesn't feel so predictable.
Okay.
What are your thoughts? Who would you predict?
Well, I think you stick with your star power. I guess I could see like a bit of a swerve, bit of an underdog kind of move here, but I think straight out the gate, you stick with your star power. You go with Thunder Rosa. She's got quite a few matches. There's quite a few interesting matches that can come out of her moving forward as well. Like, we don't know what the bracket positioning is going to be yet, but you know, her versus Britt Baker again would be fantastic. I'd take that any day of the week at this point. Yeah, like I said, I think I'll meet you halfway and say that, yeah, they probably could pull an upset. Come the win from out of nowhere for Layla Hirsch. But I think they're going to stick with the star power here.
All right. Well, we'll take separate sides. That's fine.
That's fine.
So the other match, which you've sort of already alluded to, that was announced for the US side of the bracket, is former AEW Women's Champ Riho, and then the fairly newly signed Serena Deeb. The date for this match has not been announced yet. I'm assuming because they're trying to get Riho over from Japan. But, you know, knowing how talented both of these women are, how excited are you for this match?
Very. First and foremost, I think it's great news that Riho is back. She was the face of the company of the women's division for a long time. She was the champion. She over with the AEW crowd as well, and we haven't seen her in a while. Of course, probably all related to COVID. I don't think there's anything more sinister or strange about the situation. I think it's just travel issues. I think her coming back first and foremost is a big win for the division. Serena Deeb has has proven to be another fantastic wrestler and another great addition to the roster. Of course, she comes with all of her trainer baggage as well. So we know she's been helping out backstage. At the same time, we know she's been helping put some matches together. It's great. Like two extremely strong matches that have been announced to start off the tournament. Like Riho is just a wrestler who naturally, and she's very good in her own right. Don't get me wrong. She's fantastic as well. It's just, she's already got the AEW credibility. She's already got the fan support behind her. Then you have Serena Deeb, who has won people over at this point, right? She's, if you didn't know about her before, you sure as hell know about her now as NWA champion and all the great defenses that she's been having on Dynamite. So yeah, you have 2-star women in this match. It's a bold move, but again, I think you start with your best foot forward. It's going to be exciting stuff.
Now, to me, this match says a lot about how they book matches for at least the women's division, and I would probably guess the men's division too. There's not really a clear like face versus heel. I think on both of these matches, I can't say like who's the face here,
sure,
right?
Sure,
and I think that just says something about how they're booking it. Now, Riho and Serena Deeb, they both have very interesting backstories. They're like fighters, right? Like Riho has been wrestling since she was an infant, probably. She's been wrestling forever, and she's always been sort of this underdog. And so we already know her story coming up in AEW. This small Riho against Nyla Rose, and just her story in that way. And then Serena Deeb, of course, was she gets to a WWE, and they kind of bench her for a while, and she's been training and didn't really get to do the wrestling part of it, and then she breaks free from that and then is just all over the place. I mean, she's the NWA Women's Champion. Mm-hmm. So, and that's another thing, right? Like that's another, now we have another layer. Like, are they going to let her also contend, really contend?
Yeah.
For the AEW Women's Championship? I mean, would you like to see Serena Deeb holding both if it ever came to that?
I would not have a problem with that. Champ Serena Deeb. Absolutely. And I kind of feel it'd elevate both titles at the same time. I think it'd be good. But if we're going down prediction alley, which is, a little dark, a little gloomy, smells a little like urine.
I know you hate fantasy booking. I like it. I know you hate it.
No, but predictions are different. Again, without seeing the full brackets, I think Riho goes forward. Yeah. Just on star power alone. And but see, I think the main lesson the main takeaway, not a lesson, the main takeaway from the announcement of these two matches is that AEW is going to be taking this very, very seriously, since the two matches that they announce straight out the gate are two very, very potentially strong matches with arguably two of the biggest stars of the women's division in Riho and Thunder Rosa being right in there in the first round. And I think in both cases, there's a level of unpredictability, I think there is. So I think this is a very, very strong statement. So strong statement from the matches they've announced, strong statement out of the, just purely by putting the stuff on Dynamite. Finally, good job, AEW, is what I kind of feel like I want to say.
I mean, I guess I would be surprised, without being such a Debbie Downer, I would be surprised if they would have every single match on Dynamite. I think that would take forever. Mm-hmm. Now, that could be the point, right? Because they're doing half of this in Japan. The point could be that it's going to take forever to get somebody over here. I don't know. But I would be surprised if they weren't putting it on like Dark or YouTube for its own little thing as well.
Sure. Yeah, and there's a lot of people who are, I've seen the argument saying, oh, it's probably going to end up on YouTube because they're going to need this for the pay-per-view for Revolution in March. But they don't have to, I'm trying to say too many things at once. AEW's been really good at putting on supercards on Wednesdays, right? You know, we recently got Beach Break, we got Winter is Coming, and where for 1 or 2 nights, 1 or 2 weeks, you get these amazing cards, and you're like, holy shit, they're putting this on TV.
Yeah,
I would have no problem at all, if Shida finally had her defense of the Women's Eliminator tournament on one of these super cards. If it meant that we got to see the Japanese shows on Dynamite as well. I would have no problem with that at all. I don't feel like they have to necessarily rush this to the pape, necessarily. If only, but if they do, I mean, again, I can understand, because it's a bigger payday for everyone involved. Shida gets more money, the challenger gets more money. You want everyone to get a good paycheck. But as a fan, as a viewer, if it would mean having all the matches, including the Japanese ones, on Dynamite, on TV, don't rush it for Revolution. Have it on a Fighter Fest or whatever. I think I'd be fine with that.
Well, and they only have a few pay-per-views a year, but I mean that's kind of what I'm thinking, is that they might just be waiting for a while. I mean, if we're gonna have, I mean, I'm also trying to say too many things at once. If they're putting so much stock into this tournament, which it seems like they're doing, right? Like you said, they're really building it up, thankfully. Then it feels like the payoff would maybe be way down the line, which I'm okay with too. Like I know, just from being a women's wrestling fan, that when I have an AEW pay-per-view coming up, it's typically one women's match, sometimes on the pre-show, and it's usually not, it's like maybe for the title. I'm typically not extremely excited for it. This feels like it's going to be like a huge build-up to what the payoff is going to be. And if it's going to be that big, then I don't mind waiting until way down the line, whatever pay-per-view that might be,
Sure.
As long as, for me, it's as long as the women get that exposure that we've all been complaining about, and the dolls or whatever, that's what I want. I want for doll, and so, yeah. And, kind of transitioning out, we talked about the brackets. The full brackets have not been revealed yet, which I'm fine with. But we know who is on each side. So on the U.S. side, besides the 4 mentioned, which we've already talked about, we also have Britt Baker, Tay Conti, Nyla Rose, and then Anna Jay. How do you see the rest of these matches rounding out, Warren?
I would like to see Nyla get a good showing. I think she's sort of been out of people's mind recently, and I think she deserves to. She's very good. Like she's really very good, and she's one of the most identifiable characters that they also have there. Like she's very well defined. So I think I'd have her go a couple of rounds. She's quarterfinal material, at least. I think that I think Britt is a shoo-in to go to to go far in the tournament. I think she's a shoo-in. I think she is the face of the women's division in AEW. Yeah. They wanted her to be the face as a baby face, and it wasn't turning out as well as they thought. And then they pivoted, make her a heel, and now she's fantastic. I think, quite unfortunately, I think ladies like Tay Conti and Anna Jay, and I say quite unfortunately because I know there's a large contingent of fans of these two ladies.
Yes,
as talented as I think they are, I think they're there to eat a few pins. Anna Jay wrestled 12 times in AEW since she started. This is not a knock, it's like she's not exactly the most experienced veteran they have, and she got herself over with the Dark Order stuff on BTE because she is fantastic on it. I think it's great what they do with her, and it's nice that the Dark Order has a female member and so on. I think that's great.
Yeah.
Tai Conchi is great as well. I think she's not quite ready. I kind of feel like her and Layla are on the same boat. They're kind of like on the same level. But if you did want to surprise people and pull out a shocker, have Anna Jay go for it, right?
Yeah.
I don't know why they don't push her more on TV. I don't know why they don't give her more matches, because I think she's someone who could, by a good showing in here, her credibility could go up so quickly, so fast. She could easily become a star and a contender. I mean, I know she had a AEW women's title match late last year, but it was a bit of a throwaway thing. Now you could get some serious meat around that bone.
Yeah, I think there's, I mean, I want to see Anna Jay and Ty fight each other. And I think people are going to be there's going to be, like you said, a very specific sect of people who are not going to like that, who are going to be like, no, Team TJ. But I think it would be a nice swerve. And what I see with these four that don't have matches quite yet is that they are the personalities, right?
Right. Yeah. Yes.
So they may not have Britt and Nyla have some experience, but they don't have as much as like a Thunder Rosa, right?
Sure.
But when I see those four, I see those are the personalities. They're the ones who bring people to the shows just because they're hilarious, or they've got, great gimmicks, or they've got big personalities, or they're really great on BTE, whatever it is. They're the personalities, whereas maybe the other four are maybe more skilled, right?
Sure.
Not to say that they don't have personalities, because we know damn well our girl Thunder Rosa has some personality.
Hell yeah.
They are more in the skilled area, whereas maybe the other four are more personality based. Not to say that they're not skilled either. So I think that's really interesting, because I think if you did it where you just mix that up, it's easier to tell who's going to win. Now, if you put, Tay and Anna Jay together, I don't know who's going to win that match.
Right.
If you put Britt and Nyla together, I don't know who's going to win that match. And that's what I think they're going to do.
That's frankly. A good, yeah. Well, I like that. I like that booking. Yeah. Plus, on top of that, if you put Tay and Anna Jay in the opening bracket, you're just going to force the internet to choose sides, and there's going to be so many people shedding tears, weeping, that they're going to have to pick one of them.
Right. Yeah. Oh, and I think it would be the best way to push. I think it's really cute, Team TJ, but I think it's a good way to push a storyline a little bit further for those two.
But here's the thing, and this is what fascinates me, Kristen, like in all of this, is that Anna Jay and Tay Conchi have been like a tag team 3 times.
Right.
And in the minds of so many people, they're inseparable, but that's because they're apparently really good friends, shoot like real friends.
Oh, and, yeah, no, they're all over social media.
Like, they're always taking pictures of each other on social media, on Twitter, on Instagram. But like technically as a tag team, if you remove yourself from following them on Instagram, you're like, what is the big deal with these two? They've wrestled 3 times together. I don't get it.
Right. Well, and Tay never answered the offer to be in Dark Order.
Yeah, that's always falling through the cracks a bit.
What is happening with that?
Yeah.
And I understand Dark Order's a little, right now it's just not a good time, maybe, but what's happening with all of this?
Yeah.
So I think this could be a way to give them story.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So our last topic, right? We'll just move right into what you love to do is predictions. We're just covering the U.S. side right now, but ideally, who would be your 2 U.S. semifinalists, and then your finalists on the U.S. side that will eventually go on to face the Japan finalist?
I say you give us a rematch of Britt Baker and Thunder Rosa. I think you give us that rematch, and because their match on Wednesday was great. I'm telling you, like the kind of match that leaves you hungry for more.
Right.
I can get behind, and that's what we should get again. And instead of 50-50ing, they should have Britt Baker win again.
Okay.
And my finalist on the US side would be Dr. Britt Baker, DMD.
She's gonna love that. We'll push that because she'll really like the attention.
Oh, I know she will.
For me, I'm always craving that Rio Nyla Rose rematch. I think Nyla Rose really needs it. And I think when Riho comes back, it's going to be such a big deal. And hopefully, right, she's sticking around. She's not going to go back home. Like, hopefully she'll stick around. So, I mean, it would be safe to predict she's going to make it that far anyway.
True.
But I would like to see, and this is going to cause some like, oh, well, then it's 2 Joshi women, right? But I would like to see Riho advance.
Right. Okay. Well,
yeah.
Yeah. Well, here now you're throwing a wrench in my predictions. I guess knowing where everyone fell on the brackets would probably help out a lot. But I think there's value in having as your finalists, your semifinalists, I should say, on the US side, Riho and Britt Baker, because they do have the history.
Right.
And I think we could be at a turning point where Britt Baker is like, nah, I'm going to beat you now. Now I'm at the point of my career where I am going to own you, little girl, kind of thing. And she beats Riho, her former nemesis, the one that she could never get over, that she could never overcome, finally beats her, and Britt moves on to the finals. I think there's something to be said about that.
Yeah, I like that because I think, Riho is going to be such a comeback kid, and she's so just, you can't do anything but babyface with her. And Britt is just really, like you said, really coming into her own when it comes to this heel personality that she has. So it would just be a natural, that would be a war, not just their history, but just their personalities clashing. That would be a war.
Yeah, classic.
I think you can me on that one. I think you're right. I don't know that Britt would go ahead.
No, I think
okay. Not pushing Rio, but
I think the more I think about it, I think I'm retconning my own prediction. I think I'm going with Britt Baker and Rio. I think it makes more and more sense because, like I said at first, it's a big deal that Rio's back. She's an OG of the women's division. Right. People are going to be excited to see her. And you know what? Like you said, personalities, like you were talking about, classic babyface, classic heel.
Yeah.
I think the more I think about it, the more I'm going to go with Rio and Britt in the semis. But my finalist is still going to be Britt, though. That's the difference between you and I.
All right. Well, I like that too. We got our own little war going on, right? I pick Rio, you pick Britt Baker.
And I'm going to win, so that's fine.
Oh, all right. Well, I think we know who the Britt Baker of this relationship is.
You mean the winner? Me.
I know I'm super excited to see what comes out of this tournament. Anytime that any woman wrestler is pushed and is given the spotlight, I am for it. And I know I've seen such a turn. Like I remember when AEW first came out, there was like barely any movement for the women's division, and now it's like I see the fans craving it. So it makes me very excited for it. I know you're excited too, Warren. Sheeta, probably not so excited. She's seeing like probably all these competitors like, oh my God, from 2 different countries. This is insane. But I just want to thank you for being my very first guest, Warren. Before we wrap it up, where can the people find you?
YouTube.com/Mr. Warren Hayes is where I record all of my podcasts. I do it live. I do my main podcast live every Thursday night, 9 p.m. Eastern. That's the one you want to tune into. That's the one you want to join. Good live crowd. Come and join me, youtube.com/Mr. Warren Hayes, or over on Twitter at Mr. Warren Hayes.
All right. And as always, you can find me on Twitter at Kristen Ashly. I'm also on TikTok at Kristen Ashly. I need some followers. Follow me. And be sure to follow Bell to Bells on Twitter at Bell to Bells, BELLTOBELLES. Visit belltobells.com for all your women's wrestling news and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more interviews and new episodes of Painless. The next episode will be part 2, where I'll be talking with a very good friend of ours. I won't reveal who yet, regarding the Japanese side of the tournament, but he is an expert in Joshi wrestling, so very excited. Stay safe. Until next time.